It takes conscious decisions every day to reach your goals. I remember back over the past few summers that I've been on self-improvement. It's been like 3 years now. And every year during the summer, I'd be pretty darn consistent. And I think it's mainly because of the sun, just being outside, getting good amounts of vitamin D. I don't usually get that. It's also because I just had so much time. I didn't have school to worry about. That was 8 hours a day. The only school-related thing I would have was soccer practice, and that was like an hour, and it was working out, so it felt great. Felt pretty dialed in, and my main problem, my main drug, the reason that I didn't grow as much as I could have was because I was still addicted to video games. I would play 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 hours a day, just as much as I had free time. I did enough of my good habits to check off my habit tracker, and that was it. So I spent my summers gaming, but I still remember them fondly. I still remember them. In a sense, it felt like I was locked in because I was getting all of my good habits in. There wasn't a day that I skipped my meditation, that I skipped working out just because I had so much time. But then the fall time comes, and it's more of a challenge, where I was going through high school, and I suddenly didn't have all of that time. I basically had to pick, do I want to meditate, read, do all my good habits, journal, or do I want to play video games? And unfortunately, for most of that time, I chose the video games. And I think it's really easy to look at these habits and say, okay, it's not that bad if I miss one day. That's what it was. It was, I want to play video games with my friends. I'm going to miss one day of meditation. I'm going to take a warm shower instead of a cold shower just because it's late at night and I procrastinated it. And this isn't coming from you. This is coming from some weird demonic part of your brain that says, I don't have to put in the consistency today because I've been consistent so much. I don't have to level up anymore because I'm kind of happy where I am. And without motivation, when it comes to pure discipline, it takes that conscious decision that I'm going to take a cold shower to become a better man, to forge myself into the man that I know that I want to become, because I'm ultimately not satisfied with where I'm at. And I think it's very easy to forget that. I'll find myself getting so close to a new level, and then that little demonic part of my brain tunes in and says, oh, you can just take the warm shower. Yeah, it's not going to impact anything. Just take the warm shower. And then suddenly, I go from filling out my habit tracker so consistency to just not touching it for a good 10, 20 days. It's like 10, 20 days of monkey mode where my brain just stops thinking. I go back into the autopilot. And right now, I'm essentially trading 3 months of my soul for seed money for my business. I'm working 8-hour days. And it's kind of similar to school, where if I decide, okay, I want to play video games, my good habits don't happen just because I don't have the time for it. So luckily, I'm not so much of a slave to video games, but right now, honestly, it is social media. I'll catch myself. If I go into Instagram, if I go into TikTok, if I get onto YouTube, I get caught scrolling. It's an hour every single time I do it. So there are some days where the good habits don't get done. But there's also some days where I'm actively applying this principle, and I do feel like I'm shooting myself into a way higher level. So I want you guys to learn from the mistakes that I made. The next time that your brain starts to say you don't have to do the good habits, maybe your brain tells you to skip the gym, maybe it tells you that you don't need to read, whatever decision that you made, whatever goal that you made, make sure that you're sticking to it. Because those summers where I would skip a good habit and then the rest of the month I just wouldn't do it, that's what kept me stagnant at this kind of mediocre level. And if you're watching this channel, you probably don't want to be mediocre. What's the point of being mediocre when everything in life is so competitive? It's not good enough to be mediocre if you want your dream life. You really have to push yourself into the man that you want to be for everything. You want a good amount of success, you want to have a business, or you want to excel in whatever field is your dream, then you need to be that much better than every other guy. And the other guys are listening to that part of their brain. That's what's such a great thing to think about. Like, it's sad that a lot of guys don't understand the idea of wanting to maximize your performance, of wanting to master your desires, resist that demonic part of their brain. A lot of guys just don't want to do that. But it is beneficial because that's one less person you have to compete with. If everyone was ambitious, sure, it would be great to have a brotherhood of ambitious people, but the competition would be a lot harder. So maybe that's something you can be happy of, that not everyone wants to improve themselves in this way. And I recommend you keep taking those cold showers. I know I have a whole video about cold showers out already. You can watch it if you want. That's really the first line of temptation. I'll have days where my brain says, okay, maybe I don't have to take a full cold shower. And I do it anyways. And that kind of keeps myself out of that pit. Because eventually your brain's going to cope, and you have to be able to identify that. When you give in to this evil part of your brain that tells you that you don't have to do the good habits today, that a little bit of the bad won't hurt you. This applies to food too. This applies to everything. Anything that you want to excel at, there's going to be times when your mind tests you to see, are you really the person that you're trying to say that you are? And ideally you say no and resist the temptation, but there's probably going to be days that you don't. There's probably going to be days that you take the warm shower, and maybe you fall into a bit of a rut. Maybe you fall into a time period where you're just not doing the good habits. To this, the protocol that I'm going to give you guys is not to try to overcorrect. Just take things one step at a time, because you have your entire life to be on self-improvement. That doesn't mean keep doing the bad habits just because you can. That means build back up slowly. The first example I can think of is a lot of ladies will eat some sort of a sweet, some sort of cheesecake or whatever, and they want to stay skinny, so they make a bargain with their future self. They sacrifice their future self. And they say, I'm not going to eat anything tomorrow. I'm going to have an apple and a piece of celery, and that's going to be my meal for tomorrow, like 110 calories. And a lot of these ladies end up developing eating disorders where they force themselves to throw up just because they can't sustain the apple and celery that they keep forcing their future self to do. That's something that I'm having to deal with right now because I'm cutting. I am tracking my calories, and in turn, some days I'll track a Kind bar, and you'll think, a Kind bar, that's pretty healthy. It's almonds and chocolate, and it's not anything that's really traditionally unhealthy, but you look at the ingredients and it's 20 grams of sugar. It's a trap. It's one of these things that your brain tells you you don't have to be 100% consistent. No one can do that. And it's a test. And sometimes maybe you'll fail that test. And that doesn't mean to punish your future self because you failed that test. That means get back on track. Only do what you have set for that day, maybe a little less. Because maybe you can't handle being at that level. So for instance, if you don't take that cold shower one day and you take a warm shower because it's late at night or something, and you really just don't want to take the cold shower the next day, force yourself to get in the cold water. Set a timer. Maybe you got a watch. Maybe you have like an Alexa in your house. I'm sure you have a smartphone. Set some sort of a timer for 30 seconds. Get in the cold water for 30 seconds. And that's all you got to do. The next day, scale it up to a minute. And after about 5 days, you're right back on track. It's like nothing ever happened. Don't punish your future self just because of mistakes that you made today. That's how you cause yourself not to like yourself. It's like you're going to have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So if you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up too hard about it. Just focus on the solution. And I would also recommend, if you fall off on one of these habits, focus on one thing at a time. eventually sometimes it can get so bad that you lose all of your good habits. First thing I would do if you're doing nothing good, get back into the gym. Just focus on the gym. That's the only habit you have to focus on. And then maybe add one more thing after that gym gets good. Do a cold shower after your gym. It's not great for building muscle, but it's great for your mind and a discipline. So I think it's worth it. Start your cold shower. Okay, you got consistent with the gym and cold shower. Start meditating. Start building up your brain even more. And then all of these habits that you want to build up, do them one at a time. And it'll become much easier, and you'll actually level up instead of just trying to throw things at the wall and see if they'll stick. If you've never meditated before and you try to do an hour a day, sure, maybe you can do an hour a day for a week, but it's not sustainable. You're not at that level. Maybe you'll gain a lot of progress, but if you make yourself sick and tired of it just because you're not used to doing it, then you're going to burn yourself out. And then it's purely going to be discipline. You'll probably end up stopping it, and you'll probably end up at a lower level than if you would have just consistently gained. It's like that silly thing of compound interest. I know a lot of people will try to invest in crypto, try to get the 5x, 10x quickly with some sort of a meme coin, right? Freaking Dogecoin. And sure, maybe some people will get the 5x, 10x, but it's ultimately luck. A lot of people will do compound interest. Some of the more smart investors, I suppose, will do something called compound interest, where they invest in a stock that's basically guaranteed to go up. And then it goes up, and by the time they're 65, they're millionaires. I honestly think that's a bad strategy because I don't want to be a millionaire at 65. I would rather take some risks in my life. But 95% of those crypto traders are going to go broke, whereas 95% of those stock traders are going to make it, just because they're consistently leveling up while the crypto bros are trying to just spike their money, which some people do it. I think there's a third option that's better, which is starting a business. And then maybe you can invest that money in whatever you want as long as you have an income that's disposable. Maybe you can take some risks. I tried trading meme coins, but it was ultimately gambling at the end of the day. And I'm not much of an advocate for gambling. I think that it's a sin. And I think that's part of the evil part of your brain that says, maybe you'll make it big. And I think that's dangerous for men, because if you don't make it big, then you're going to think that you're not good enough. And you didn't really build a skill by learning to trade crypto. So if you combine those two things, that causes some self-hatred. In reality, you can just slowly compound becoming the better version of you. I know that 1% better a day is kind of a scam, but to get to the next level, all you have to do is do a little more than last time. Be conscious about doing the right thing, and success will just fall into place. It's called integrity. Maybe you can cheat on your diet a little bit and still make gains, still build muscle. But you shouldn't cheat on your diet, because that's going to make your workout a little worse, and it's going to break down your mind. Maybe it'll cause a huge binge eat in the future. Maybe it's a year in the future where you feast one day. One day is all it takes. Just like the good can compound, the bad can compound too. One Snickers bar might not seem like a problem now, but by the time that you're hungry on a cut, you're going to remember that Snickers bar. And then you're going to eat 5,000 calories over what you set for the day. And all of the progress of your cut is going to be gone. You're going to lose muscle. You're going to gain fat. All because of that one bad decision that you made earlier. Now, it doesn't mean beat yourself up over that bad decision, but that means stop yourself from making the bad decisions today. That's all you can do. Don't be set on the past. Maybe you did cause a problem. Focus on the solution for that problem that you caused instead of wasting your energy on thinking about how stupid you were. I think self-improvement videos get a lot of bad rap. They call it mental masturbation, where you'll hear about all these great things that you can do, and then a lot of people will just never do them. But I really think that they're great because they help you build the motivation. When it's just you and your brain and you're just stuck on discipline, that was a bad stutter. If you're just stuck on discipline with no motivation, maybe you're somewhat happy with where you're at. Like, there's some days I'll be at the gym, I'll see my pump, and I'm somewhat happy with my physique. I don't really have a zest to grow. And then as soon as I hop on Instagram or something, I'll see someone bigger than me. I'll see what could be. That's what self-improvement YouTube is good for. It tells you what you could be. It shows you what other people are doing. And it stops you from that idea that you've done enough, that you can rest now. Rest is important, but indulging on your pleasures is not rest. That's what the evil part in your brain wants you to believe. It wants you to believe that you deserve a little candy bar to rest. But instead of just resting builds muscle. Resting is a good thing. That's not what that is. That's just what you trick your brain into thinking. So self-improvement YouTube helps keep you from that. I think it's great. Consciously choose to take the cold shower today. That's for me as well. So I'm at my boxing gym. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.